email we have this week comes from Wayne from Redacted. And I think this is one you're going to like, Dan. Hey, crew. Love the podcast. GameStop question for you. I'm a manager of 6 years and my store is closing. I took severance and I'm presently looking for the next thing. I'm good with all that. I welcome the store closing. It's been a long time coming. But seriously, it's the final 2 weeks. We close on July 26th, which is our last day. What the fuck is wrong with people? All I get are customers that want to argue with me about why we are closing, how it's my fault the store has failed. I get shit constantly like, what will I do with my reserves and where will I go now? And I find all of that laughable in 2024. Like there's no other way to buy a video game. It's only amplified me to be more excited that this shithole is closing. Did you guys get questions and arguments like this when you closed? I just find it all absurd. Thanks.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say I wasn't there for the very end, so I have no idea.
I went through this twice. I did it at Game Crazy and I did it at GameStop, and both times people were lunatics. So we'll roll back to Game Crazy.
That's wild.
So Game Crazy lasted a little over 7 years.
I was gonna say 2009.
02 to 09.
Closed, right?
A little over 7 years, October 09. We got a notice like a month beforehand we were going to be closing, and we were like, okay. Writing was kind of on the wall. It wasn't super shocking. Game Crazy and Hollywood Video, the guy who bought it, the whole thing fucking tanked. Whatever, long story.
I was gonna say it was probably both, right? Hollywood.
It was a slow burn. Game Crazy went first, and then Hollywood's after. I helped close some Hollywoods too. But so how it worked was a company. It was, you ever drive down the road and you see the guys holding the signs, 30% off, store closing, whatever.
Yeah,
it was like that. So some company came in and bought our stuff to liquidate it. So Game Crazy sold it for pennies. Whatever. That's how I got a lot of really good shit because we hit it until it was 70% off, even though we weren't supposed to, because the guy would come in so every so often to check. But one of the shelves in the back room, you could lift the bottom part up, and there was like a space underneath it. You put stuff in it, put the shelf back on, and then put stuff on top of the shelf. The guy never fucking knew. And the inventory was so fucked it didn't matter. So we basically it was, you're going to be here for a month. We're going to pay you for a month. There's really no rules anymore. You can't do reserves. You can't do MVP. There were MVP cards. You can't do those anymore. Can't do anything anymore. Sell stuff. At this stuff's 30%. This is 10%, and it'll change over time. It was actually an awesome month because there was only 3 of us left working, and we just kind of made up schedules as it went on. We're like, I'll work tomorrow. You can work the next day. We just worked all day. We were supposed to be open until like 8. Some days we would just close at 6 because we're like, what are you going to fucking do? Fire us? Nobody cares.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But so the most important thing of this, there are signs. My store was not big. If you've ever been in a Game Crazy, they were small. They were part of another store. I remember that. Ours, and the craziest part was mine was one of the bigger ones. But there were signs everywhere that said 30% off, we're closing, 30% off, we're closing. No returns, no returns, no returns. All sales final.
People would want to return stuff. Yeah.
You want to return something? Go fuck yourself. Have a good one.
That's so stupid.
So we, as time goes on, we're probably 2 weeks in. I'm working by myself. Some lady buys some DS game or something. 30% off. No returns, no returns, no returns everywhere. And she comes back like 2 hours later. I want to return this. And I kind of like, first I just kind of like stared at her like, what are you talking about? I want to return this. I don't need it. I said, I cannot do that. What are you talking about? I just bought this. I understand that. I remember. I cannot return this. I will not return this. That you have to return this. And I started like looking around behind me. I'm like, there's one.
Do you see all the signs?
There's
say
one.
No returns.
Well, you didn't say that to me. I shouldn't have to. And maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't really care. I'm not going to do it. And she goes, well, I didn't see any of those signs. And the way our counter worked is it was kind of low. And we had 2 registers on the sides. And in the middle of the counter, we had those like things where you like flip it up, you put a sign in and close it down. There's one right there. And her purse is sitting on it. And I picked up, I just picked up her purse and moved it over and just went right there.
Right there.
And she's kind of like, oh, this is ridiculous. No wonder you're going out of business. Are you fucking
That's the
mental,
reason why.
lady?
Yeah.
Like go away. Don't ever come back. Like people were awful. And then it was always like, well, I'll wait till it's 70% up. Cool. It's not going to be here.
Yeah.
Well, can you hold it? Absolutely not. Can you give me a better deal? No.
No.
Why not? I don't set the rules. I'm just here I'm the register monkey for the rest of the month, man. I do literally nothing else. We're not getting stock in. I'm not shipping anything out. It's over. Stuff is behind the counter. I'm not even cleaning anything. You know what my boss and I did for the rest of the time there, because we still had the interactives and shit? We played MLB The Show custom franchise all fucking day.
I was going to say.
We created a franchise and we just hung out and played MLB the whole day. Somebody would walk in and be like, they'd say hi, just keep playing the fucking game. Like, what the fuck do I care? Fuck that. It was actually super fun. And then the funniest part is we were doing so good at selling stuff by the time it was almost over. Our boss called us with like a week to go. And she goes, oh, we just got authorization to keep your store open another month. And we're going to ship stuff into your store to sell it. And we were on speaker with her. It was like me and him. My boss's name was Rick. And Rick and I were like, we kind of like looked at each other and we go, are you crazy? We already have other jobs. I was already working at GameStop. I told you I had that weird period where I was working at both stores because, no competition. There is no competition. This store doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And we told her there's no way. And she goes, well, we have to. And we both said, you can go ahead and schedule that, but come whatever day, no one will be here. This store will be locked.
Like, I already have another.
This store will be locked for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And the plant, like, and then she's like, I'll see what I can do. And she hung up the phone. But we just kind of laugh. We're like, if she comes back and says we're open, we're going to walk out that day. We're going to lock it. We're going to slide our keys under the gate and leave them in the middle of the store and just leave.
Yeah,
what are you going to do? I don't
done.
work here anymore. And then finally, like a couple hours later, we get a phone call back. And she's like, okay, you guys can close. We're like, I'm glad you decided that because that was how it was going to be. But yeah, you would put up a whole bunch of people. The GameStop stuff was bad too, but kind of in a different way because we got the notice that we were closing on Black Friday, which think of the logistics of that. Like
a bad day.
Black Friday is supposed to be like the day, right? It's the day. We're open early. We're selling everything. I had opened and I had come back to close, and my boss came in. And on Black Friday, you figure he's just going everywhere to see how things are going. And we were cool. And he was like, hey, I got to talk to you about something. And I was like, okay. He's like, can you take off for a little while? And, there were like 4 of us there. And I'm like, yeah, fine. So we walked over to the Jimmy John's. We sat there and he goes, I got notice your store's closing. And I was kind of like, well, shit. But I'm not surprised because, again, we've talked about it forever. The fight with the landlord is what killed it. If he wasn't a dick, that store would have stayed open for 3 more years. But he had his own scam he was running. Yeah. And so he was like, okay, yeah, so we're going to close your store, but your final date is going to be December 26th. And I went, are you kidding? Like, what are you talking about? So we're going to be open on Christmas Eve. We're going to close one day for Christmas. And then we're going to reopen for one day after
biggest
Christmas.
Return day of the year.
The biggest, like, return trade. I've got an issue with what I bought, like complaint day of the year, following a month of me shipping stuff out. Because remember, when GameStop closed the store, things don't go on sale. They get sent out or sold. And we're not supposed to get stuff in. We still did because GameStop's a fucking shit show. But I told him, I said, that makes 0 sense. That is going to make December 26th, though, probably the worst day I will ever have to work here. Even with a month of lead up time, even with me putting signs in the store saying we're closing this date, you're going to have to go to the other store. None of this would have worked at all.
No.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I didn't think about that. Let me make some phone calls, because he wasn't even supposed to tell me on Black Friday. He was supposed to wait like a week, but he's like, I'm not going to fuck around. It's going to take forever to get shit out of this store. And because we have to transfer everything, we had to throw everything away. We had to take everything down. We had to get paperwork sent to the right place. We had to do a whole bunch of shit.
A lot of stuff.
Like it's a bigger process than you think. And if you want your severance, you got to do it. So he came back and he was like, I'll make some calls. And I went back over and I told the people who were working, I'm like, look, we're done in a month. We can try to move you to another store nearby. We can you can leave now. You could stay and help me hang out and just kind of clear this stuff out because guess what? There's no pressure anymore. There's no cards. There's no pre-orders, anything, that kind of stuff. And I think pretty much everybody except the one kid I hated, he left, which was good because he was a shithead. Who got dumped on me from another store. But yeah, you would still get the people who were like, "Oh, this store's closing." Yeah, why? And then in the beginning, I would start to explain like, "Oh, you see the hole in the ceiling? We've had a roof leak, and the landlord's the guy who runs the trampoline because we had shit on the trampoline guy to anybody who would listen."
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, I didn't give a fuck about that guy.
Garbage.
He's a piece of garbage.
And then I'd go through that whole thing, and they would go be like,
"That's the reason why it closed."
You guys are still closing? It's like, yeah. Well, no one GameStop. All GameStops are going to be closed in 5 years. Well, guess what? My GameStop closed in 8 years ago. So not really.
They're still
open. It's still going to be a little bit, but it was all the same complaints. It was all what about my pre-orders? They're just like, we had a store that was 5 minutes away. It's going to be right there. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, because I was going to say they probably did the thing where either they transferred everything to the other store, or you would tell the customer they'd have an option of where they wanted.
Yeah, so it basically became anybody who came in to buy something, check their account, see if they have money. You have money. You can either A, spend it right now, B, leave it, and the pre-order will get transferred to the other store, which is an important thing to do if you want a game that might be a collector's edition or something.
Yeah.
Because if you cancel it, you're fucked. And, you know, people don't listen to that either. So I don't know what happened to those people. Would fuck them. And, or you could like, oh, I want to pick it up the other store. Okay, great. I can arrange we could do that right now over the phone, unless it's a collector's edition, in which case you need to leave it to have it go to the other store. And I don't even know what that would have been, but I'm sure there's stuff in the system that you couldn't reserve anymore that you needed to do.
For sure.
You would get people still complaining about like trade prices. And it's like, look, man, I don't even fucking work here anymore in a month. You think I care? As long as I show up and transfer shit out, I get paid. I don't care. People, like the same thing that's email. They like to blame you for no, it has nothing to do with me.
Was to say you probably your last day open would have been whatever day,
Christmas
and then
Eve.
you were probably. I was gonna say, and then you probably were still there for another week or two,
we
just kind of ripping things
basically
down.
It was we were open until Christmas Eve, and then we worked until the end of the year because we were taking the metal shelves down and throwing them out. We had to call this company to come pick them up, and originally they were only going to make one trip and leave us with a giant pile of shit in the middle of the floor. And my boss went off on the guy. It's like, you need to call somebody, and you need to get back out here in an hour. And he goes like, well, we can't really do that. He said, you're going to. That's pretty good.
I know the one TV remained there because there was no way for it to come out of the ceiling. We were supposed to take
that TV out of the ceiling, but the way it was hooked up so high. There's no way we could have got it down.
That had been there since like 2009. Damn. It's been there a lot. It was before you were even there. It had been there a long time.
It would have been like the last like major refresh that store got, which would have been somewhere around mid 2000s. Yeah.
So I would say like even if you got that TV down, not a TV I would have taken.
No, and it became like, what are they going to do to us if we don't take it out of here? Nothing. Yeah. It's not like anybody's coming in here afterwards. Remember they wanted to sell. We had to get rid of the safe, right? They're like, what are we going to do with the safe? I said, can I have it? And the LP guy was there, and he was like, well, we can't just give it to you. And I'm like, well, then I don't want it. He's like, well, we could sell it to you for like $10. I'm like, sell it how? Ooh, you can't ring it up. So he's like, well, you can just take it and give $10 later. I never did. So now I have the safe in my house. Still works.
That's good.
Still remember the code because, I typed it in multiple times a day for 9 years.
It's a good thing to have.
It is. It's a pretty good safe. It's fucking heavy as shit. Took 3 people to get it in my closet. Jeez. Yes, if my safe is in my closet, you're welcome to come check it out. It might open in 10 minutes.
That's the best part. It's on its time delay. So
and sometimes it doesn't work.
Remember those days where you'd sit?
Fuck, dude. There'd be days.
Shit, another 10 minutes.
There'd be days where it'd take a half hour to open the safe at the end of the night.
Yeah. It sucked.
Yeah, like just people already don't understand GameStop as a whole, right? They don't understand how it's a business, how it works. They're even less inclined to believe how it works when it's closing and
Right.
This must be your fault. You what was this store bad? No, my boss was going to fire someone to keep me, so it probably wasn't me that did it.
Yeah. That's a good point to
You
point
know,
out.
there's, you know, it was. I won't say it was bad because it was kind of a fun time because I literally did to get to just be like, I don't fucking care about anything. That lady, I still remember that lady vividly, the Game Crazy lady, just because she was such a bitch. And it was like, you'd have to be blind. I think I even counted the signs in front of her. I think I even went like 1, 2, 3. I think it was like 17 because there were everywhere.
Yeah.
And like I said, we just kind of showed up when we wanted to. You want to leave?
Well,
leave.
It's like the feeling of having put in your 2-week notice. You already don't care, but amplified more because
the company put it in for me.
There's no, I was gonna say, because there are no rules.
Right.
Like,
there's less rules than no rules.
Yeah, it's like
I had no boss. The best thing I had was a lady who was supervising us liquidating product the company didn't own anymore.
Yeah, that's but
what? Yeah. Like it was just crazy. It was fun though, because like I said, we hung out. We're supposed to be open until, remember, Game Crazy was open 365, 10 to 9 every day. It didn't matter. It's 5 o'clock. I'm out, and because he would just be like, I can only work till 5. Okay, there's only 3 people working. What are they gonna do? Can't fire anyone because nobody's gonna do it. Yeah.
But realistically, at that point, like, how many people were going to show up to buy something in that like 2-3 hour block, anyways, when the store's closing?
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood being inside of Hollywood was always weird because we always had trickle traffic, but definitely it didn't mean anything. I just remember, like, man, by the time we were done, because again, we weren't shipping anything out. I think we finally got down to everything we had left was displayed on the walls behind the counter because there was nothing left. We were selling after we shut down. Hollywood sold the fixtures off because remember, our comic book guy bought the glass cases from us.
Yeah,
so I think I even told him when I was in his store one day. I said, "Yeah, we're closing. We're selling a whole bunch of stuff." And he's like, "What about like fixtures?" I said, "Yeah, we have nice cases that work." And he was like, I'll stop by," and he bought them for his store, which was cool. At least they went to some place that like had a meeting for me. I wish I would have taken more from that store than I did. I've told you forever I wanted that Game Crazy sign so fucking bad.
I know.
That stayed on that building forever. The GameStop one they took down pretty quick after it was over, which is ironic to me because that was a dead strip mall, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. That was just that guy being fucking
an ass. Yeah, I got some things out of the Game Crazy. Some old like signs and stuff that we had.
I was gonna say, man, those the glass cases behind you came from GameStop.
Those are GameStop cases.
Early. That was
just kind of like a refresh where they didn't serve a purpose anymore, and we needed the wall space for something else. But these are big time cabinets.
Nice.
If you try to buy them, they're probably $1,000 a piece.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
So those were pretty nice. I got the Switch.
That's still a good one.
You know, I have those Xbox and PlayStation lights from Game Crazy when we were getting rid of those.
Those are good.
There was a PS2 one too. Somebody else took. Yeah, I mean,
you got the Funko Land sign.
That's a whole. That's probably the most important. That's the most important.
Yeah,
thing, but
that's the most.
Yeah, it's closing a store. It's a sad and fun thing at the same time because there's no rules anymore. we would ship out all of the best stuff from GameStop. We would ship that stuff out first because we didn't care. We didn't want to have anything that people wanted.
No, that's important at that point.
And I would call my friends and be like, "What do you want?" And they would say, "Oh, give me your best, 360 and PS3 games or PS4 whatever games. You got it. They're yours. I'll send all the garbage to the stores I hate." And I did. the other store in our town. You got boxes of Wii. Here's your Wii shit.
Oh man,
I gotta send 20 Wii Fits somewhere, man. Guess where?
I
would just drop it off myself. Here you go.
Here you go. Enjoy the Wii Fit.
Wii Fit.
Damn.